Morning, Eric. How are you, sir?
Morning, Roberto. I'm great. How about yourself?
Good, good. First, Eric, let's start with who you are and what you do. Let's kick that off so people can know a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Eric McClure. I am the Executive Director of StreetsPAC. We are a political action committee and advocacy organization that was founded by me and about a dozen other street safety advocates back in 2013 as a way of trying to influence the political process around street safety initiatives, public transit, as a companion to all of the great work that was being done by 501(c)(3)s like Transportation Alternatives.
Eric, let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about, the mayoral race.
Yep.
How are you reading it? How are you seeing it? Does Mamdani have a shot? What do you on the ground, right? I mean, in the
Hmm.
community, uh, amongst the talking heads. I know you all endorse Lander. I mean, number one, you ranked him one. Tell me
Right.
about how do you feel and what are your thoughts on what's currently happening? There was a Maris poll recently that's got former Governor Cuomo up by 10. Give me your thoughts on the latest on the mayoral race.
Yeah, it's a great question because it seems really difficult to handicap. I mean, clearly, former Governor Cuomo has been the front runner, at least on paper and in the polls, since he officially entered the race. He's got a great amount of name recognition given his time in Albany. Um, but it seems like the race is tightening, and there's a surge of support for Assemblymember Mamdani. I think Brad Lander certainly has been in the news quite a bit in the last week, and may have a little bit of momentum too. But it seems on its face, if there's anyone who can catch Andrew Cuomo in the primary, it would be Zoran Mamdani. He's really seems to be energizing young people. The early voting turnout has been up about 50% from 4 years ago. There seems to be an indication that a good portion of that is turnout among younger voters who certainly are Assemblymember Mamdani's base. And so I guess it's going to be hard to predict. It does seem like the betting money is on Andrew Cuomo to maintain his lead, but it seems like we could get a surprise outcome here.
What are your thoughts on former Governor Cuomo, Streets Park? What I mean, you didn't rank him, right? And can you explain why?
Yeah, we did not rank him, and the short and simple answer is that he did not participate in our process. When he announced officially that he was running for mayor, I think that was on a Sunday that he did his announcement. His team reached out the next day on Monday to request a link to our questionnaire, which we sent them, but they never responded to it. We're able to see if somebody starts the questionnaire, and that link never got clicked. So we will only rank someone or endorse someone if they participate fully in our process, which means completing our questionnaire and also coming in or sitting down with us for an interview that usually lasts 45 minutes to an hour. And unfortunately, Governor Cuomo did not do either of those things, so we did not include him in our ranking. He's also got a very spotty record on the issues that are core to Streets PAC's mission. He was governor when the MTA was being pretty significantly underfunded. Everybody remembers the summer of hell in 2017 when it seemed like subways were breaking down regularly, and people were stuck in terrible commutes for that entire summer. He's really been, I think he identifies as a car guy. He drives around in a Dodge Charger, and people should be free to choose what kind of car they want to drive. But he's really not had much of a profile when it comes to the kind of alternative transportation that we are advocating for at StreetsPAC.
How'd you land on Lander?
I think that, really Brad Lander made our decision pretty easy when he released his transportation plan, which was a 29-page document. We'd never seen anything of that kind of breadth and depth and comprehensive nature when it comes to outlining a vision for the city in terms of transportation and the use of the curbside and public space. And it really was, it kind of blew us away in its completeness and comprehensiveness. We were very impressed 4 years ago when we endorsed Catherine Garcia in the primary by her preparation and her grasp of the issues. But Brad Lander really took it to a whole different level this year. So it made our decision to endorse him pretty easy.
Talk about the next race down ballot, the comptroller's race. You landed on Levine. Why? And how are you reading that race if you were to handicap it?
Yeah, that's an interesting race. I mean, I think there's been some polling that has shown Mark Levine holding a pretty significant lead, but also with a really big chunk of voters undecided. This was an interesting race for us, as were a number of races, because now that we've been around for 13 years, 12, a dozen years now, we're getting a lot of situations where we have candidates whom we've endorsed for other offices in the past now running against each other. So it sometimes means we have to pick between allies, and that certainly was the case with Mark Levine and Justin Brannan. They are both people who we've endorsed for offices in the past, and are people who've worked positively on the issues that we care about. We gave Mark the edge because he really has, I think, pushed the envelope, certainly as the Manhattan Borough President on a number of initiatives. He identified the need to expand the Hudson River Greenway and propose taking a lane from Route 9A on the west side, something that the New York State DOT is actually now beginning to study. He's been a real advocate on building more housing. He's proposed tearing down the FDR Drive south of the Brooklyn Bridge. There are a number of issues where he really stood out as the candidate most aligned with us. And then I will say, in Justin Brannan's case, he's got great experience as the chair of the Finance Committee and the Council. He has certainly represented a more difficult district for these types of policies in Bay Ridge than Mark has, on the Upper West Side or in Manhattan. But at the end of the day, we really felt that Mark had an edge in terms of his policy advocacy on issues of street safety and public transit.
Talk a little bit about this current administration, and I know there's been a lot of news around Bedford
Yep.
Avenue, McGinnis Boulevard, the commitment to the number of miles of bike lanes. What are your thoughts on this current administration? Uh,
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we came into the Adams administration at the beginning of 2022 with a significant amount of optimism about what his leadership might mean. He had been someone as Brooklyn Borough President who, I have to say, probably showed up more often for street safety vigils than any elected official in the city. Anytime someone was a pedestrian or cyclist was killed in Brooklyn, you could count on him to show up and there at the memorial. And he was someone who rode a bike himself. And when he ran for mayor, he promised to surpass the significant mandate in the New York City Streets Plan, which called for 250 miles of protected bike lanes over 4 years. He said he was going to do 300. And unfortunately, he has not followed through on a lot of the promises he's made, or in the case of the streets plan, even followed through on meeting the legal mandates in the streets plan for things like mileage of protected bike lanes and separated bus lanes. He seems to have given into political favoritism when it comes to projects like McGinnis Boulevard or Ashland Place. Now, as we saw last week, Bedford Avenue, where the administration says they're going to remove several blocks worth of protected bike lane in Williamsburg, and Transportation Alternatives actually filed an injunction a couple days ago, and the judge ruled yesterday that issued a stay until another hearing on August 6th. So, fortunately, that segment of the Bedford Avenue bike lane is safe for the next 6 weeks or so, but then we'll see. But I have to say, on the whole, that the Adams administration has been a disappointment. There is, work that they've done that's gone forward that we're certainly grateful to see, but we think that they could have done a lot more, and certainly delivered on more of the promise that the administration had coming into office.
Eric, who are some of your biggest advocates in the council now that you feel do the right thing, and for the most part, you would give a grade or B plus grade in terms of the issues you care about or
Sure.
StreetsPAC cares about?
Yeah, there are a number of them. We're fortunate to have a significant number of allies, and I'm sure I'm going to leave some out, and I hope no one takes offense as I try to run through a mental list. But some of the people in the council who've really been remarkable allies and reliable votes to do the right thing on these issues. Lincoln Ressler in the 33rd Council District, certainly Crystal Hudson in the 35th, Shahana Hanif in the 39th District, Shaker Krishnan in the 25th, and Julie Wan in the 26th in Queens, Carlina Rivera and Keith Powers on the east side of Manhattan have been tremendous allies. Pirina Sanchez in the Bronx, Amanda Farias in the Bronx. We're lucky to have a pretty significant number of allies in the council, which, unfortunately has not universally been great on a number of the issues around street safety and transit, but there is certainly a core group of people who are StreetsPAC endorsees who have done really well by us and by the people of New York City.
How would you grade Bill de Blasio? Because again, the longer you're out of office, sometimes in terms of universal pre-K and housing and
Hmm.
other things, people are now. He, I thought he did a great job as mayor, right? Depending on who you ask.
Hmm.
But what are your thoughts on his mayoralty and the issues you care about?
Yeah, I think I would say certainly more positive than not for Bill de Blasio's legacy as mayor. He did, he was the first. We launched in 2013, and he earned our endorsement in the 2013 primary for mayor, a primary that he won with just over 40% to avoid a runoff. So we love to take credit for that little few tenths of a percentage point that put him past the runoff threshold. Um, he lived up to his promise to launch Vision Zero soon after he took office, and the city made really significant progress on street safety and reducing traffic deaths over the first several years of his administration, reaching a low in 2018 of 200 deaths, which was a really significant process. I mean, it's still 200 people too many, but it seemed like every year the number of deaths were going down. Unfortunately, the pandemic came, and while there was, when the city was locked down initially, that helped suppress traffic deaths. But as soon as people started driving again, the trend reversed. But overall, I think in hiring Polly Trottenberg, he made a good choice for DOT commissioner. Polly was certainly committed and had a team of people around her at New York City DOT who were committed to these issues. So the number of protected bike lane miles were increased. The city's plaza program grew. I think there were a lot of gains. I think there were places where they still could have done more and fell short in some areas. But overall, I would give Bill least a B, I think, for his job as mayor on StreetsPAC focused issues.
Now here's a double two questions in one, Eric.
Okay.
Grade Governor Hochul, and is congestion pricing here to stay? What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. So, um, Governor Hochul, I would say, overall has done a pretty good job on these issues. I mean, we have seen, despite the hiccup in her pause in congestion pricing last June, that she did eventually come around and has been a champion for it. She's stuck to her guns, I think, in the face of the pushback from the Trump administration on congestion pricing. So I give her high marks for that aspect of it. I think generally she understands the importance of street safety, and she certainly seems to get the importance of a robust and efficient and effective public transit system. You know, we've seen the MTA capital budget just passed, and at a significant funding level. Probably never enough, because there's a lot that we need to do to get the transit system running at 100% efficiency. But I think she has understood the importance of it and has generally been a significant supporter of the MTA and our transit system. And as for congestion pricing, I do think it's here to stay. I think the legal grounds on which the Trump administration thinks it could force its cancellation are very shaky at best. Congestion pricing seems to be uh, leaping every hurdle in the legal system, and the facts on the ground are that it seems to be working tremendously. We've seen significant reductions in the level of traffic and in injuries in the congestion zone. We've seen travel times increase. The RPA, the Regional Plan Association, put out a report yesterday showing that the time spent in traffic jams outside of the central business district, outside of the tolling zone, were pretty significantly reduced in the other four boroughs and in parts of New Jersey, which we know were a lot of the elected officials there were vehemently opposed to congestion pricing. So it seems to be a real home run, and we think it's here to stay, and the city will be all the better for it.
Eric, I want to thank you for your time, and I don't want to make this longer than it needs to be. Anything you want to add to this conversation that I forgot to ask you before we
Um,
wrap?
The only thing I would add, Roberto, is to encourage all your listeners to be sure to get out and vote. If not early, then definitely on Tuesday, but early's probably better, because I saw the forecast for 100 degrees on primary day. So participating in the electoral process is hugely important. We have low turnout in these municipal elections in New York City, so the more people who could show up and make their vote count, the better. And we'll see what happens next week.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and hopefully we'll have a follow-up conversation post-election. All the best,
That,
my
that,
friend. All
yeah,
right.
that would be great. I'd love to do that. And Roberto, thank you very much for reaching out to us and to having us on your podcast.
All right, sir. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you.